Hey guys, how's it going? So today I decided to share with you guys my first really good spawn in with DayZ Standalone. So I recorded this yesterday. I got a Belota spawn, which usually means you're gonna die. But I was on a server with about 25 people, so I felt pretty confident that I could get in here and maybe get something pretty good and escape. Also keep in mind that this server actually just started, so the way loot works is when the server starts, everything spawns in, and then by the time the server restarts, most of the equipment is gone. So if you join a server that you know has been up for a couple hours, you're going to have to travel more inland for supplies. That's just the nature of which the game is set up right now. But, you know, I have the luxury of checking out one of these new tech buildings. One of these buildings right here that's to the right of me that usually has the garage. Previously in DayZ, these buildings were not enterable, but now they are, and they contain some of the best loot that you can actually get. This is a military complex, so you can expect to find M4s, hunter backpacks, hunter clothing, camo, bandanas, gas masks, you name it. You're going to find some of the best equipment in buildings like this. And the way DayZ Standalone looting is set up right now, it's very much military and residential. So a lot of the times when you go to one of these military complexes that hasn't been looted, you're going to find something that's really useful. So in my case, I instantly found some cool cargo pants. I got myself a clip of 5.56 millimeter, so it's not bad. Some Stan egg, which is pretty cool. I got myself some military jungle boots, which is pretty interesting. And right under the bed, I almost missed it, I got myself an M4, and by the way, I just picked up a 10-round magazine, so I can actually use this. And this is literally 3 minutes since I spawned off the coast. Got myself a hunter backpack, got myself some cargo pants, and an M4 that I can actually fire. Now, the only thing that I don't have going for me right now is my mic. My microphone is muted, and I don't know that it's muted. So that means anytime I'm going to run into any players at all, I'm going to think that I'm actually talking to people, but I'm actually not. So this is my favorite thing in the game. It just gives me this Fallout vibe that I just really like. The gas mask is by far my favorite thing in this game right now. Even though that its functionality is questionable, I just find it's just perfect for the post-apocalyptic type of scenario. Maybe I'm just too much of a Fallout fan, but it just fits perfectly. So you guys are going to be seeing me rocking the gas mask pretty much any time I can find it. So in a matter of 3 minutes, I look pretty badass. I got a nice gas mask, got the weapon, picked myself up a baseball bat. I would go with a fire axe or a splitting axe. So the baseball bat is definitely, in my opinion, the third best melee, starting with the fire axe, following up with the splitting axe, and then the baseball bat. Do yourself a favor, don't even bother trying to kill zombies with a wrench, a hammer, a fire extinguisher, or a shovel. Just don't do it. You're just going to get killed, you're going to get infected, and you're going to die. So unless you have a baseball bat, an axe, or an actual firearm, don't engage zombies. I mean, you can try to knock one out with your fists, but the chances of that happening are pretty slim. So at the moment, I'm just hearing some gunshots off in the distance, and I'm just wondering if it's worth it. I have this cool gas mask, I got the weapons that I need. Is it worth investigating down the airstrip? And there's not many people on the server right now. It's very fresh, it just started again. So I'm just saying, you know what, it might be worth a shot. You know, even though I heard some M4 rounds down the way, it might be worth checking out the ATC tower, just to see if I can get myself another big magazine. And maybe a few more rounds, because I only have 10 rounds and a very small magazine, so I'm going to have to do some selective firing here. Got another tip for you guys. Usually whenever you're just normal speed running and you're trying to switch weapons with a zombie on you, double tap your sprint run and you can actually switch weapons while sprinting, but you can't switch weapons while running normally. Your character will actually stop. So in this situation, I didn't want to shoot my gun, and I flipped to my baseball bat and just beat the crap out of the zombie. Once I get this nailed down a little bit better, I think it's going to be really fun to just kind of run around with the melee weapons, fighting with other players and zombies. I think it's not bad right now. It's definitely something that needs improvement, but I don't find it takes away from the experience. As long as you lower your melee weapon and don't leave it raised, you should be okay. So at this point, I actually don't realize that my mic is muted, and I actually see a player that's about to run into the ATC tower. The good thing is he completely neglects me. He doesn't know that I'm actually right outside the ATC tower. He just completely ignores me. So I was actually yelling at him, say, "Hey buddy, put your stuff on the ground, put your stuff on the ground," but unfortunately he actually didn't hear me. So I decided to run after him, thinking he was a threat, and I try to give him another opportunity here. I'm just turning on the mic saying, "Listen, buddy, put your stuff on the ground, put your stuff on the ground." And he's not doing anything. He turns around and sees me, flips out the axe, starts running at me, so I have to put a clip in his face. Then the crappy thing about this is, well, number one, he probably would have complied with me, considering there wasn't many people on the server. Number two, even though I shot him a couple times in the face, all of his gear is damaged. Now, you may be wondering, well, it's completely useless. Just going to throw this out there. Food, even though a can of food is ruined, you can still eat it. Even if food items, medical items, things with functionality, even though that they're broken, you can still use them. So this is something that I actually didn't realize at this time that much. I thought that these two magazines were completely ruined, and I couldn't use them. In fact, you could have, even though despite the fact that they're busted up, but you can empty the rounds. So the rounds inside of damaged magazines, just empty the clips, and you can actually do that. So emptying the clips was a really good idea. I actually almost didn't think to do that, so kind of saved myself some time in finding some ammunition. I probably could have taken the damaged buttstock. Probably could have taken a couple other food items. I left one of the bayonets, which I should have taken for opening up cans of food. I thought it wouldn't work, but it does work. So I find right now that if the damage system isn't working very well, like the durability, on any items that it's not working, they should just take it out, because it's kind of misleading a lot of players. So right now, in situations where a can of beans is ruined, to somebody who actually understands that it's a bug, that the item is still functioning, you can actually get killed, not eating ruined pieces of equipment that actually would work for you. In another case, I could have used one of those damaged magazines for this M4, a 30-round clip. Even though it was marked as ruined, it still would have worked flawlessly. Now, I know that in the future, it's not going to work this way, but like I said, if it's not working 100%, I don't think it should be in the public version, especially something as damaged. Now, the couple things that are working really well are damaged clothing, because it doesn't really change your survival aspects. It just changes the look of the clothing. So damaged clothing, damaged scopes is probably the biggest one that is actually functioning right now in the game. So if you have a rifle scope that's damaged and cracked, it's virtually unusable. So you pretty much have to, drop it and find something else, which is really cool. I see where they're taking it, but it's just like I'm saying, like until they can actually get, like I said, I just shot that guy a couple times in the head, not in his chest, not in his cargo pants. So the fact that I ruined his rifle that he had was pretty alarming, right? So it's a little weird. So that's just all I would really say about it. Other than that, I see where they're taking it. It's a great idea, and it's already lowering the amount of people that are shooting on sight. Making robbing the more of a commodity for bandits is definitely going to turn things around, because people are going to start to realize that shooting that weapon that you want to collect from this guy so much could risk damaging it. And stealing other people's, or just shooting people and stealing their equipment will eventually have zero value to them. So it's really good. I think the way they're going about it is perfect. It just needs to get to a point where it can actually function. So now that I know this, next time I play this game is going to be much easier. especially if I'm playing as a bandit. So just keep in mind about that, guys. Sometimes when things are marked as ruined, just see if they can actually work, especially can openers and stuff. You definitely want to keep using that stuff. Magazines, even if they're broken, you can empty the clips. I'm not too sure about the suppressors right now and some of the other functioning M4 pieces, but just give it a shot. Just remember, not everything is what it seems. Okay, so now that I've effectively looted Belota Airstrip, I'm going to run up to this lake and just drink the hell out of it. Here's another tip for you guys. If you're near a water source like a well or a freshwater pond, just keep clicking the action button as much as you can until your character is completely full of water. I only did it a couple times here because I find it lags a little bit, because they try to anticipate some time for the animation, but because there's no animation right now, you can do it as much as you can. So if you start drinking a lot of water, eventually it's going to say you feel really full, you feel very full, and then I've even seen a lot of people who've been streaming that have been drinking from wells, and then 5 minutes later their character will just kind of keel over and puke out a little water. But that's not a bad thing. I mean, just drink as much as you can because it's just going to keep your character hydrated longer. So take advantage of freshwater ponds, wells, things like that if you're struggling and your character's thirsty. So now that we hit up Belota and successfully got a lot of equipment, we're going to be hitting up some of the other military bases around Chernarus. So next, we're going to be going to the military base that is just southeast of Vybor. And this is one of those military bases that are brand new to the game. They got a couple barracks, a couple tech complexes, so it's really going to be worth my time to check out. While I'm on my way up north, I decided to hit up some buildings to see if I can get some can of beans or maybe a water bottle of sorts. Typically doors that are closed, there's a high chance that you can find something useful. So I just find it crazy just being able to open most of the places that are in Chernarus, running around seeing all this crazy stuff like these little dolls that are inside of the cupboards. There's a lot of can of beans, a lot of sodas, things like that. So I don't know, I find it definitely adds to the immersion, and then crazy floor swimming zombie comes out of nowhere and starts to kick my ass, but no match for the splitting axe. So that's basically what I'm doing. Just it's always good if you see a house that has a closed door and you're actually looking for some food and supplies. Why not just open the door, give it a shot? It would be really cool if they added locks into the game and wood planks. So it would be really cool that if you could barricade an actual house on a server and basically call it your own home. Actually lock the door, barricade the windows. It would work really well on private hives, but unfortunately with ghosting back in the game and Altiform being a problem, someone could actually just switch servers, run into your house, and then switch back to actually gain access. But it's a cool idea for future private servers down the road that I can't wait to see. So things like Epoch and stuff, like in a year's time when DayZ finally goes modding public, modding friendly, I'm pretty sure they still have plans to do that. Once that actually happens, I can really see this game blooming into something just crazy and creative. I also decided to go to Green Mountain because Green Mountain is one of those eerie places that I really enjoyed from the mod. Although in the mod it didn't really have anything useful, I realized that one of those tech buildings are actually stationed in Green Mountain. So now it actually does have some value to it, and you can go there and actually collect some stuff. Also keep in mind that the radio tower, does contain residential loot. So if you are in a pinch and you want to go to somewhere a little bit more unique to find equipment, Green Mountain is definitely one of those places. There's also a lot of future development that could be planned here, like radio transmissions, things like that could be coming from Green Mountain Tower. So keep an eye open for things like that in the patches. But it's actually a viable place to go for loot. It used to only have, I think, 2 military loot spawns in the garage of the tech complex. Now it's got the entire building. So I said, why not? I haven't checked it out on standalone yet. It would be worth a try, and it might be interesting if there's anybody around to see if I can engage in some PvP. So as you can see, somebody has been here because loot doesn't just randomly spawn in the middle of Green Mountain. So there's definitely some looting exchanges going on, and I decided to check out the military complex. It just feels that there really isn't anyone around, sadly. I want to actually engage with some other players, not just in PvP, but even in conversation at this point. Realized my mic was actually muted and kind of face palmed over that one, understanding why I had to shoot that guy in the face earlier in the video. But, you know, I decided to check out Green Mountain and made me realize that there's possibly a group of people that are heading north and hitting up the military complexes. So, because of that, you know, I'm going to continue to follow their trail just to see what happens. So I'm taking it pretty slow here in the tech building, making sure no one's actually followed me in or waiting to ambush me as I come back down the stairs. Also making sure to check behind there. That's going to get a lot of people I can anticipate in the future. Running around these beds, you know, make sure you check under the beds as you've seen earlier in this video, because you can get lucky and get an M4 that's pretty functioning. And I just picked up a couple other basic supplies, but nothing too special. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Green Mountain, pretty cool spot now. I can anticipate a lot of cool encounters coming from this area, and I'm definitely going to be hitting it up if I'm heading over to Zelengorsk. Seen this green or black hoodie, and you know, decided to take it for the hell of it, just because, you know, it's got a couple extra spaces. Even though it doesn't make me look as concealed with the green shirt, I can still use those extra spaces to some advantage, and I find it looks pretty cool. Fits with my gas mask apocalyptic style theme I'm kind of going on, so it kind of works. So I actually found a kitchen knife too. Kitchen knives can be used to open up cans and stuff. I don't know how powerful it actually is as a melee weapon, but yeah. I also picked up a fire axe, just because, you know, the fire axes are currently my favorite axes. Even though the splitting and fire axe are very similar, they can be a little bit different in terms of quality. So just keep in mind out for that whenever you're working at splitting or fire axe. Just go with whatever one is more pristine than the other one. That's just the way I've been doing it. So next on my list of loot locations is the military barracks that is just southeast of Vybor. So this is a new location that's been added into the game that contains 2 barracks, a tech building, and a couple other residential loot locations and a barn. So this place is very, very close to Starry, and I think it's designed to kind of spread the focus around the PvP territories a little bit more. So you're not just going to Starry and Northwest Airfield anymore. You actually have this amazingly powerful military base that kind of just nests into the map. There's a lot of really close Overwatch locations too, like a hill that's actually just behind me here, where I actually sat there and watched the area before I moved in. And that's going to be crazy. It's probably going to be the new sniper hill. So I'm just going to be running into these barracks here, seeing if I can find anything of use, and then getting out as quickly as possible. So like I said, I'm actually still looking for magazines. At this point, 45 ACP. I still don't have any ammunition for my pistol. And I actually found another hunter backpack, which is one of the best items you can actually get in the game right now. One of the most valuable, 35 slots. So as you can imagine, it's pretty decent. So nothing too special in the first barracks, but it wasn't really looted that much. I could tell that there's still a huge opportunity to get something useful in the tech building and the other barracks. So I'm going to quickly do some bag management and head right over there. Eat my can of ruined baked beans, which still tastes fantastic, I guess. Or it turns to pristine whenever I start to eat them, and then back to ruined. So that's what I was mentioning earlier. So we're going to hit up that other barracks in the tech complex, see if we can find anything useful. So we looted the tech complex, and now we're going to be heading over to the final barracks. So in the tech building, if you guys didn't catch that, because I sped up the footage a little bit, I got a new green military helmet, a couple of good magazines, a gray tactical shirt, and just a few basic supplies, nothing too special. Plastic water bottles are awesome. You can refill these things. You can throw some water purification pills in there. So it's pretty useful to pick those up. I find they're just at the same level as the canteens. But you just got to be careful whenever there's water that's actually already in them, because it's kind of a risk. So there was nothing crazy in the final barracks, but I did switch out my gray tactical shirt and picked up a tan tactical shirt. The tan or olive shirts are definitely the best for camouflage. As you can see, it works really nicely. I also picked up a slightly damaged red dot scope for my M4, but I was just testing out to see how manageable it is, and it's not that bad. So I'm definitely going to be using that more than my iron sights. I mean, the iron sights aren't that bad. They just need to get your eye a little bit closer to it. They're trying to go for realism, but with real iron sights, you can actually get a nice look because you can put your eye almost right up to it. So once they kind of fix the field of vision on the iron sights, I'm sure they'll be a little bit more useful, but it's definitely not that big of a deal. So for what I know, there's multiple scopes. I'm not overly comfortable with all of them at the moment, but there's definitely the ACOG variants, 3.4, those typical styles, Russian and American. We have the red dot sight, iron sights, different grips, silencers, bipods. It's just different hand grips. It's pretty cool. So there's a lot of different options for the M4. So even though it's the only assault rifle in the game at the moment, it's still pretty decent when actually the variety that you can actually get from it right now is pretty immense. So even though it's the only gun, I'm not too worried about it. It's got a nice variety on it. So the last military complex we're going to be hitting up in this video is actually the Northwest Airfield. So the Northwest Airfield has a couple differences. Number one, with the theme of the current video, a couple of tech buildings that were once not enterable are now enterable. Number two, there's a number of additional walls that are protecting South Barracks. So as you can see, you can't really snipe people from up on this hill that are trying to get into South Barracks because there's a protective concrete wall that is kind of blocking and obscuring vision. So it actually makes it a little bit easier to travel around and get into close quarters combat here. But nonetheless, you should always be worried if you're going up to the Northwest Airfield, because there is going to be somebody else there if there's more than 20 people on the server. I mean, that's just a given. This place is still the most valuable location for getting loot, because look at all those hangars. Hangars are not to be joked about in Standalone. You can get a lot of gear from hangars. In fact, hangars contain some of the most immense loot locations in terms of ammunition, magazines, and gear, that it's actually very dangerous. That's probably one of the reasons why they did it. I mean, going into a hangar, especially in the Northwest Airfield, you're basically in an open target just looting the ground where snipers can just pick you off from a distance. So don't fuck around with the hangars, because they can actually be a really good place to loot. So I didn't really find too much loot in the South Barracks or Tech Complex, so I'm a little bit worried. There has to be somebody else around. So I'm going to head up to the North Barracks and see what I can actually find. And just that quickly, all your hard work can be taken away with one bullet. And that's one of the reasons why I like DayZ, because it's intense. Adrenaline is just rushing through it at all times, and it's a very unexpected game. So right there I was caught off guard immensely. At first I didn't know exactly where I was getting shot from, so I laid down some suppressive fire. I tried to reposition and flank, but I'm assuming this guy was watching me with third person, so he wasn't really tricked with my flank at all, which would have probably worked if this was a first person only situation. But anyways guys, it was a fun loot run. I learned a lot about what was possible in terms of finding things at military loot locations, what to expect, loot cycles, the balance between ruined and pristine equipment, which pieces of gear can actually work with others even though they are ruined, and just messing around with M4 attachments. So in all, I learned a lot from this playthrough. It was a hell of a lot of fun, and I can't wait to give you guys some more content. So anyways guys, I gotta work on re-gearing my character and kicking that guy's ass who just stole everything from me. So if you enjoyed this video and found it informative, just hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video.